Zillow and Redfin's chief economists are expecting a large bump in pricing in the spring market, and I'll explain how that's going to impact people that are thinking about transacting, as well as today's buyers and sellers next. If you get some value out of this, tap the bell for notifications, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and if you want to schedule a call with our amazing team to discuss how this impacts you, use the link in the comments. So, Darrel Fairweather, the chief economist of Redfin, is predicting a 5% increase in home prices during the spring market. And Skyler Olson, the chief economist of Zillow, is predicting a 3.6% increase in home prices. This is nationally in the spring market. And this is a big change from the predictions of flat home sale prices that were coming out at the end of the fourth quarter and at the end of the third quarter from both of these organizations and both of these economists. So what's the reason behind it? Well, we've seen that demand is still strong. Rates have started to thaw the lock-in effect a little bit, and the buyers sitting on the sidelines. So all of a sudden, there's more activity with rates getting down into the mid to low 6% range that we've seen so far this year. So this is a big change from both of these organizations. And what we're seeing happen here is that people are a little more optimistic about the housing market. The market has absorbed everything the Fed's been talking about with potential rate cuts coming in the future, likely not in March. I'm sure you saw the comments from the most recent meeting, but that they're going to be reversing their policy as we head into 2024. So we're seeing that we probably hit rock bottom last year, and there's only one way to go, and that's up. And prices did well last year, don't get me wrong. We're talking about housing activity. So with that, if we're going to see prices go up in the spring, which we normally do, historically that's typically what happens, and we're going to see more activity in the spring, knowing that there could be a jump from, let's call it 3.5% to 5%, what should sellers and buyers be doing right now? And this is all going to be really local data. So the first thing I would tell you is you got to look locally at what's going on where you want to live or where your home currently resides to understand those local market trends. These are national numbers. With that in mind, what I'm clear on is that the most savvy sellers and buyers should be having planning meetings and strategy meetings now about what their moves are going to be in the next 3 to 6 months. If you're making a real estate decision in that time frame, and even if it's towards the end of the year, it makes sense to get the right information. Now, here's the thing. What's the right information? What should you be reviewing? And I'm a big believer there's really going to be 3 large buckets, and then that third bucket has a couple different things we want to look at that when you're meeting with agents, they should be talking to you about. So here is the agenda for any sort of planning meeting or strategy session, and these are the questions you should be looking to get answered as a consumer. The first is, what's going on in the market, right? What's going on in your segment of the market? Because there's a difference of the first-time home buyer segment, the premium luxury segment, the move-up segment. All of these are going to act a little differently. Absorption and time on market's going to change. List-to-sales price ratio is going to change. Demand levels are going to change. So understanding what's happening in your segment of the market, and your agent should be able to adequately, and adequately is probably not even the right word, clearly explain what's going on so you can make the right decisions to get the house that you want and get your home sold. So what's happening in the market is going to be one of the top questions. The most important, I should have probably led with this one, are your goals as a real estate consumer. What are you trying to accomplish? Where are you looking to move to? What's your game plan? And how do we navigate all that in light of all these different market conditions that are happening, the volatility in the market with flat prices to raising prices, rates coming from 8 down to the mid to low 6s. All of these things are going to be a factor in your plans, and that should be top priority one is what are your goals and how can we help you achieve them? Then what's happening in the market is number 2. And the third bucket are going to be the processes. And there's going to be a lot of processes involved. So on the selling side, you want to understand the following processes. The home prep process, what to do to get the home ready for the market. If your agent can't explain that, well, that's one of the reasons why a great home sells, and it often takes the most time, and it's kind of a pain. So if you don't have a professional staging team as part of your agent's service package, maybe you want to find another agent. If you don't have someone that can walk you through and tell you exactly what to do to get the home ready for sale, you might be missing an opportunity there. So on the selling side, the first process is home prep. The second is marketing. What kind of exposure will you be generating for the property, both online and offline? So that's a whole nother explanation, and there has to be a very aggressive plan there that's proactive, not reactive. So you've got home prep, you've got the marketing process, then logistically what it looks like showing the property. So the ins and outs of showing the home, getting potential buyers in, that's part of the marketing process, but you want to understand what the logistics are. Is there a showing time app you're using? What's the notification? What's the communication process? And then lastly, what happens after the home goes under contract to make it smooth and easy? So there's really 4 different processes there that your agent should be reviewing and have a roadmap for so that you can navigate them appropriately. Now, on the purchase side, the processes are a little different. It's really going to be the home search process, so how you're identifying properties, how you're getting into them, and how you're touring homes, and then the lending process if you're financing the property. So what do I need to do to get my credit in the right shape? What kind of documents do I need to have them ready for my lender? Do I need to get pre-approved now or should I wait? These are all questions that people ask very frequently, and if there's not an explanation on the lending process if you're financing, as well as the home search process and the back and forth and the communication, then you're not going to be able to really navigate that appropriately, because the worst time to plan something is when you're actually doing it. So the whole point of this is these meetings before you actually go out and start wanting to look at properties or wanting to market your home are really critical, because failing to prepare is preparing to fail. And a lot of this is proper prep work that's going to create a great performance and a great result so you can accomplish your goals, which is the number one most important thing in the first place. So with all this information happening, and it sounds like, oh, I might want to revisit the market now that prices are projected to go up and that rates have come down. And if you're waiting until April, May, June, when you actually want to pull the trigger on a move, you're actually doing yourself a disservice. That makes me very nervous, because all this planning should be done in advance of making these decisions. So when the decision comes up, well, the market moves at a fast pace. And if you're not equipped to make a fast decision in a competitive market as a seller or a buyer, because people's expectations are to get answers right away in today's world in 2024, then you're not prepared to take advantage of increasing prices. You're not prepared to take advantage of lower interest rates compared to where they were at the end of 2023. Get prepped. Have those meetings with agents. And if your agent's not answering those questions and laying out a plan, interview somebody else.